Yeah, so it was we had these thunderbirds that were seen like the size of school buses flying in the sky, playing after each other, and then we saw a green one coming through this orb that we could see something spinning inside of it, and then my wife caught like 22 seconds of it's like whitish blue, and what you see in the video doesn't look, and you hear this so many times from everybody, what we saw with our eyes. It
Mhm.
it, it looked more like a bird flying but made of light, and a much smaller version of those two. When we got that thing flying like right over our heads, and before it hits the tree line, it looks like it has wings. So you know, the green orb was like Ezekiel's wheel, and then it was like we're seeing like these angels or plasma beings in tandem with all this stuff. So to your point about seeing the dogman and shadow, and seeing some of these orbs, we were seeing these larger light beings, and I just got the Thunderbird was what I was getting when I was watching these things.
Yeah, I got fire in my chest. Yeah, you're now rocking with the best. Yeah, listen to that sound. Yeah, it's David and this is deeper down.
Welcome back to Deeper Down the Rabbit Hole with David. I'm your host. Today we're going to talk about dreams. This is one of my favorite subjects. I am fascinated by dreams. I put them kind of in a paranormal realm because like ghosts, like cryptids and aliens, we don't really know much about them. They're just something that we do, and it's a very strange thing as far as I'm concerned. And I love talking about them. If you listen to David Don't Know, at the end of the show, I asked the 6 questions. One of my questions is about dreams. So let's get started. I'm going to bring in our guests. I have a awesome, like star-studded paranormal panel today. We're going to get started with Philip. Bringing Philip to the stage. Welcome, Philip.
Hey,
How's it
how
going,
you
my
doing?
friend? Doing great.
Not too
You
bad.
are the owner of the Instagram page Chasing Mound Builders, correct?
Indeed, yeah.
Can you
It's
talk a
mostly
little bit
about,
about that?
yeah, for sure. So I'm mostly involved with exploring ancient mound sites from the Hopewell period to the Mississippian period, all across the
Wow.
Ohio Valley, and pretty much anywhere I can get to in my spare time, and try to share my findings there. And um, I'm a writer more than I am anything else, so
Sweet,
I
man.
link my pen name Neomythic Scribe to that, and yeah, I just sort of came to everything from this kind of like spiritual breaking open. It's a guided path, and it led me to so many different things. So as I would find out that the mounds often do. So
Oh, super interesting, man. That's crazy. I love it. I love it. All right, the next guest I have is one of my best friends in the whole world, JJ Rose 777. Welcome, JJ.
Hi.
hey JJ,
Hi.
You guys know each other, right?
We
oh yeah,
do.
JJ, you want to tell us a little bit about your YouTube page and what you do?
Sure. I am a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm a metaphysical teacher, psychic, eclectic solitary, all elemental white witch, and overall, all the clairs, all things spiritual. And my YouTube page is just a free way for you to get good information. I'm not selling anything, and hopefully get you on your way through your spiritual journey.
Those of you that listen to David Don't know JJ. I've interviewed her, and I bring her up quite often, as I'm being told on the show. She's one of my best friends, so if you're wondering why, that's why. All right, the next guest we have is the psychic firefighter, Andrew Redzowitz. What's up, Reds?
Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
Hey man, congratulations on your Knicks. I don't know if you follow basketball, but I'm very
course.
disappointed. I'm very disappointed. But congratulations to you, my friend. Thank you for being here. I know it's 1 a.m. right now where Rads is at, and I can't thank you enough for doing this, Andrew. Can you give us a little background on what you do and your website and all that good stuff?
Yeah, sure. So I am a prior U.S. Coast Guard veteran, retired New York City firefighter, psychic medium, and a UFO contactee experiencer. And I can't wait to talk about all the topics that we have for tonight.
Yes, I can't either. All right, our next guest is the author of Interdimensional, and he also has a couple other books called Monsterland. So welcome, please, Ronnie LeBlanc. Hey, Ronnie.
Hey guys.
All right. Ronnie is in the documentary My Bigfoot Life, right, Ronnie? That's
Yes. Yeah.
And
Executive
he-
produced that too. Yeah.
wow. Okay, I did not know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Also, he's in Destination Bigfoot.
Expedition
and
Bigfoot.
Expedition. I always mix that up.
Yeah.
Also, Paranormal Caught on Camera, which is one of my favorite TV shows. That's where I watch Ronnie mainly.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude, I love that show so much. It's actually why I started down the rabbit hole.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be
Amazing.
on it, which I will. I will be on that show. All right.
Make sure you go to Down the Rabbit Hole.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk dreams, gentlemen, and I just wanted and gentlewoman, and I just wanted to read something really quick about dreams because, first of all, if you're able to take yourself out of this human experience, right? If you're able to remove yourself from it and look at it, why do we even sleep? What is the deal there, man? It's like we need a charge, like we're some sort of meat machine that needs to charge every day, and then as a result, we have these dreams, which I can't explain, right? So according to this, a dream is a successful succession of involuntary images, ideas, emotions, and sensations that typically occur in the mind during sleep, ranging from mundane to completely surreal. They are most vivid during REM, rapid eye movement stage, and can involve all the senses. Yes. What do you guys think about that?
You know, I remember at an early age, like when I was aware of, having a dream, waking up immediately and kind of closing my eyes and remembering the dream. And there might be some weirdness in it, or it might be a little normal, but it would always be, not every time, but a majority of the time, I could figure, oh, I talked about this during the day, and that's why the dream was about X, Y, and Z. But not all the time. So there were elements of that which I started to just look at it. Oh, that's just your, the daily, your conscious, subconscious trying to figure stuff out. But then I had some dreams that seemed to be seeing into the future, or talking to somebody, that you wouldn't normally have access to in the daytime. So definitely, and to your point, I do agree with you. We're almost like cell phones. We have to charge up every night, recharge, go through this process, reconnect to the source. And, there's different thoughts that the dreamland is the reality, and this reality is the illusion.
Right. I've heard that before, that this is the illusion, and when we dream, that's the actual. And that fascinates me, man.
Yeah.
Andrew, what do you think about that? What are your thoughts on dreams in general?
Oh, definitely. Well, I've looked into this extensively. So I just remember in 2011 when I flew out to the desert in California, I learned CE5, which is basically human initiated contact with UFOs, extraterrestrials. And one thing that I found interesting was Dr. Stephen Greer said to us that if you're trying to relax, you're trying to meditate, try to do it before you go to bed, like as you're dozing off, when you're in that in-between state, that like hypnagogic state where you're alert, you're aware of what's going on, but you're slowly drifting off. And if you can get into that state and stay in that state, that's how you can actually lucid dream or have an experience like that.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's how this began for me. I would just doze off at night, and when I realized, wait, I'm drifting off, I'm getting sleepy, but my eyes are moving. I know I'm responding to what's around me. I would hold that, and then for me personally, I just would see myself rise out of my body, and then I would just try to travel in the room or even outside of the room. I would start low, just little trips to even bigger, bigger, and bigger, to
Mhm.
where I started to really play around with this and go, wait, let me see if I can go to like other realities, or what else can I see out there? Let me try to drop down. And then when I started doing that, I would go to literally everything from different, what I feel are different timelines. So sometimes I see things in all black and white when I'm doing
Oh,
this, which is interesting. Sometimes it's just like we are right now. Sometimes it's like in black and white. It's very fast. It's usually very fast, very sped up. It seems like ultra, ultra fast, that bandwidth or that frequency that I go to when I do this for some reason. And when I look around in the environment, okay, dropping down or even up or down, whichever way, it feels like I am either in the future or even in the past, because I'm not aware of some of the normal daily things. Sometimes I can lucid dream about right now, but I have had experiences about I'm in places, I'm seeing these huge buildings, they're in black and white, and it looks like the 1950s, to futuristic, almost Jetsons type things that I've seen in this lucid state. And it's like
cool.
I'm there. It's not like I'm dream, not like a fantasy, not like on TV. No, I'm like literally there in that exact moment. I mean, can you guys identify with this? Anyone had anything like that happen?
I haven't had the black and white, so that's interesting to me. Do you think, and you just mentioned it, like the 50s, do you feel like when you have those experiences in the black and white, that's your like interpretation of the past, or is the future black and white as well?
I've had it both, where there's like no, the color that we see, there's just no color. So, I mean,
Hmm.
it's black and white in the past, and even futuristic. The buildings are really tall. It's almost like picture the Jetsons, like these real
Yeah.
tall
Sure.
buildings,
Yeah.
cars are flying, like things that we haven't gone to yet or things we haven't done. Now, I
Hmm.
started this in 2011, and when I, started doing this in 2011, I was seeing things then that now have come true. For example, 2011, 2012, back then, I would see in this futuristic type travel, this lucid traveling that I was doing, I would see people talking in their wrists, which sounds great in 2011. You're like, what are you talking about? There
Yeah.
was phones, but no one was like, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
Hmm.
But now they have like these iPhone watches or whatever, where people, they're starting to talk into that thing. And even the glasses, like I just saw people touching,
Yeah.
like
That's
repetitively touching. I'm like, why are they touching their glasses? Why I don't get it. I didn't realize that, obviously now they have cameras and all sorts of things in sunglasses,
mhm.
but in 2011, I wasn't aware of anything like that. So it was like, if I would even share that, I'm like, this is going to sound nuts
Yeah.
if I share this with, regular people. But
Hmm.
now, like, oh, yeah, sure. Of course you saw that, 15, 16 years ago. But yeah, I was seeing things that were like almost futuristic, where they're in our reality now.
Wow.
Very cool.
I feel like that makes a lot of sense. I mean, one of the theories of sort of everything is that it's all instantiated in this like electromagnetic kind of thing. Of course, the color spectrum is too. So, if it would make sense, given that our perception is wired to experience some of that sort of bandwidth, and some of it we're not wired to sort of perceive. So, it tracks that it would happen in dreams too. That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know too. So, talking about this, I've spoken with Dr. Gary Nolan at Stanford University about this, years ago when I started to get professional help with what I was experiencing as an
Hmm.
experiencer. And that was one thing he was curious about, was dreams. And I was explaining what I was seeing in dreams, and what did this mean. And just one very interesting thing that I was discussing with him and other people was, perhaps wherever we're coming from, where the base reality is, or the man in the high castle, or whoever's behind the curtain, perhaps Where they are, everything is black and white, and they've created some sort of system or computer game or simulation or whatever you want to call it,
Simulation. Yeah.
where we have color. Because wherever we're from, Elon Musk had even said base reality is probably very boring, because in a computer game you always make it better. So maybe that's why when we can travel out of body, we're getting glimpses of like the truth, which maybe it's in black and white, and then from there they've projected all these beautiful colorful things that we see. Just a thought, you know.
That's an
It's
interesting take, man. Big
yeah, it
time.
is. And like almost the reverse for me though, because I feel like I've had dreams where the colors are more vibrant and real than they are in reality. So
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like so that's an interesting um perception on that too. And I've always wondered, you know, we're told all dogs can only see in black and white. And I wonder, is that completely accurate? You know, I did someone go, oops, forgot to carry the one. But I, you know, it's just funny because we, you know, then we go on somebody else's like, this is how it is, and I research and we all accept it, and then somebody goes, no, I checked it again, and it's wrong. You know, it's the opposite. So you just wonder. We're constantly, uh, I think, finding out more and more about stuff, and it's exponentially now, which is fascinating how quickly things are moving.
Oh yeah. I mean,
It's
if you think about the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, everything we're thinking about now, they would have thought we were nuts back then. We couldn't talk about this stuff back then. You know,
yeah.
there's a huge difference. I mean, to suggest that dreams might actually go to the source or to another dimension or to another alternate reality would have been insane back then. So yeah,
Hmm.
totally. What about you, JJ? What do you think?
Not necessarily, because during those time frames, I was having extreme dreams. I, I mean, I've gone through the plethora my entire life of prophetic, lucid, all the things. I rarely dream of daily life and people that I know. So if I have a dream with someone I know, I usually contact them because either something's happening or about to.
Hmm.
Um, Most of the time, I'm not even on this planet or within this dimension. I would say, I slept walk as a child. I slept talked. I would walk into my parents' room, sit at the end of their bed. I mean, I was little, and would just go off in other languages.
Hmm.
And finally, my dad started recording me, and he knew a linguist at the time, a professor who was a linguist in dead languages, and took the recording and said, "Hey, can you tell me what this is saying?" And the linguist went pale because it's obviously a child talking. And it was ancient Sumerian, ancient Hebrew, and there were a couple other ancient languages that I was speaking. Aramaic, I think, was one.
Wow.
And I was like 3 and 4 years old. So how do you explain that? I was not exposed to that. No one spoke that at home.
What were you saying, JJ?
Yeah, so that's the interesting thing. To this day, I still don't know. That was never told to me, but I would channel a lot of things through. I would have dreams about things that were going to happen. I would tell my parents. There were days I would wake up really freaked out because I would see things in the future. Not, you're a kid, right? So you don't have a lot of context and understanding of what it is that I was seeing. Much like Andrew was saying, that my dad actually when he was in school, wrote a paper where he was talking about one day people will have watches that can call people and can be like a computer. And he got an F on the project. The teacher literally put an F and said, "This is completely unrealistic." And, to hear you say that you were having that
Regrade.
yeah. And with some of these things too, it's interesting, the technology. I mean, I've had dreams where I'm obviously not me. I'm in another body. I'm not even human. In a lot of them, I've been a man. In some, I've been in other times, dealing with other deities, all like pretty much everything. And it's interesting you bring this up because dreaming in and of itself, the more vivid you dream, the more DMT your brain actually makes naturally. So a friend and
Really?
yeah. So a friend and I were talking the other day about, people who use, I'm going to say, medicines in order to hallucinate or to have journeys.
Mhm.
And, to each their own. Obviously, that's not for me, but we were discussing. She's like, "Oh, would you ever do that?" And I said, "Well, first of all, no," for a multitude of reasons. But also, like, my brain makes more DMT than the average person. So something like that could actually backfire on someone like me. So I've had times where I've just laid down and my eyes are barely even shut and I'm already dreaming.
Wow.
So so I understand that people say, "Oh, you have to be, 2 hours into sleep with REM in order to." I've had dreams that have gone on for hours. I've woken up in the middle, wrote half of them down, went back to sleep, went right back into the dream.
I've done that. Where you
Yeah.
wake up from it and then you go back to sleep, go right back into the same dream. That's cool.
Especially if you're intentional about it and you go, I need to go back in there, right? Like
Yes.
I find out this past week, I've been waking up and I look at my watch and I go, before I look at it, I'm like, it's 3:15, right? And I look, it's 3:15. I'm like, what the frick? And I'm wide awake. And so I ended up just kind of like, most times I'll just stay up in bed and then I'll get up and start doing stuff, whatever. But I'll try to force myself to go to sleep. And I just find during that time period, if I'm awake and then I go back to sleep, those dreams are intense, and then I come out of it and I remember them pretty fully compared to ones that I would have, like, say, before that, waking up at 3 in the morning. So I always start messing with that, where you're kind of in that, what you're saying, in the in between state, and then kind of go back into that spot.
Yeah, I've had ones I didn't want to go back to. I woke myself up deliberately because I did not want to be involved in whatever was happening, and would fall back asleep and would enter right back in it. And so I journal my dreams. I have a pen and paper right next to the bed. I have one
Smart.
in the bathroom.
Smart.
And so I handwrite them down. And then once in a long while, I'll do voice clips or type them out if I want a timestamp, especially if it's something where I feel like this is more than likely going to happen. And a couple weeks ago, Philip knows because he's in my Discord, I had a series of dreams, one every single day. And they didn't quite make sense, but I knew that there was a message in them. And then there ended up being that exact thing would happen the very next day. So I deliberately electronically stamped it because I didn't want anyone saying, "Oh, well, you're just making things up after because it's handwritten out." And I mean, I'm not even sharing them publicly. It's just more for me to kind of within my own self make sure, okay, I'm documenting this.
You need to turn that dream thing into a book. Put that dream
Yeah.
journal into a book, man. I'm telling
So
you.
long.
Have you ever noticed that though? Have you ever noticed that if you don't write the dream down or you don't commit it to memory, it fades into the ether as the day goes on? What is the deal with that?
Well, so that's something that, like in-depth psychology, they would say is kind of a practice in order to increase your recall. That's like super common. It's very Jungian type of practice, and it's for me, it's worked wonders because as a kid, I was just kind of like JJ. I like remember all my dreams, and there were so many that were so far out that. Just unbelievable dreams. And then as life progressed, it's almost like I forgot how to recall the dreams. And I sort of gravitate in this world of like hermeticism. So like it's for me, like those messages are very big. It's a very big practice. So I think that writing them down is the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
And Ronnie, he was talking about the time of day. That time of day, I think, is like sort of
What's like the witching hour or something?
That's almost always
3
a
to
message.
5, yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, and it belongs to, in some practices, including mine, that hour belongs to Hermes. So as the messenger of the above. So it's, whether you take that literally or figuratively, I think that's a very powerful hour.
Yeah, I've definitely been gravitating more towards hermeticism and learning more about that, and everything seems to align with what I'm going through and different things. And I still remember there's, maybe a handful of dreams that were so vivid and so impactful that I still remember them. And they all had to do with, one had to do with UFO, uh, me coming to the door and seeing one coming down the road and with a light, classic flying saucer, and then the neighbor coming out, going under the flying saucer and getting sucked up into the beam, and then coming to my house, and then I'm walking out the door. That's all I remember. And another one where I realized I was in a dream, and there was a bunch of people, and I was in the front of my house, and I decided to, I think I can, fly. And I just started running, and I took off, and I just started flying around. And I was like, holy crap, it works. So, and I've been trying to get back to that place where it's like, when you're aware that you're in that dream, then you really can do whatever. And so that's I think where I'm always trying to go, or try to get into that place again where you have control of the dream. I think that's the
So
shit.
Ronnie's talking about lucid dreaming, and lucid dreaming is a state of consciously realizing you're dreaming while asleep. This metacognitive awareness, often occurring during REM sleep, allows you to take active control of your actions, navigate the dream narrative, and manipulate the dream environment to your liking, which he's talking about. That's actually what he's doing, which is fascinating to me. I love that. And you can practice this from what I understand.
Yeah, and like I don't do it, and maybe because of this conversation, I'll start doing it, see what happens. But I don't go to bed with like, all right, I'm going to go into the dream world, and I just like, I need to go to sleep.
Mhm.
But I think I need to get more intentional and go, okay. And writing it down, there's something to that. One, you retain 90% of everything you write down, but there is
Right.
something magical about writing down. So whether that's even like, all right, I want to go to this place in the dream, and maybe set the destination in our little phone we have and navigate that place. So I'm going to start messing with that and just see what happens.
I know when I'm in the dream, right? Same thing. If I'm tired, I go right to sleep. If I'm in the dream and I'm trying to figure out, am I awake? Is this the dream? What's going on? For me, I'll grab something or just try to tap something, hit something. And if I don't feel it, if I can't feel the impact, I know I'm asleep.
That's
Because if
like
I'm awake,
the doorway thing, right? They say go through
right?
if you can find a doorway. That's the other
If you
thing. I
can,
was like,
if you can.
where's the doorway? Can't find
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I'll just try to squeeze or grab something. Just if there is something around, or even just tap myself. Can I feel that? If I
Mm,
can't feel it, I'm dreaming, and then I'm like, okay, now I know. Let me try to play around with this or try to do something. Something cool too. I know I heard this, that if we wake up, if you either can't go to sleep or you're waking up at 3 a.m. and you can't go back to bed, that's because same thing. The Matrix or whatever this thing is that we're in, they need a certain amount of souls awake. So
mm.
everyone can't go to sleep at the same time. And we try, those of us that cannot do it, or we wake up, why can't I go back to bed? They need a certain amount of souls that are conscious at
Huh.
all
Yeah.
times and asleep. So there's like this
My,
equilibrium and balance.
you just like, one thing that just triggered was like where I was drinking I came to the fridge, I was thirsty. And I grabbed a bottle of water, and I started drinking the water, but I was somehow breathing through my mouth while I'm drinking the water. And that moment
Yeah.
was the realization that I was in a dream. I was like,
Yeah.
you can't do this. Or like being underwater,
Right.
and then suddenly you're breathing and kind of going, wait a minute. And those are those, it's so funny because it's not something that you're really aware of until you kind of go, wait, this doesn't make sense in reality. You can't breathe underwater, so
Yes.
that's, you
You guys
triggered that.
have much more lively situations than I do. I'm not in control at all of my stuff. Like all of that just feels completely normal to me when I'm in the middle of it. So like I feel like I failed in some way. Like,
I'll tell you what, one of the things, like Ronnie just triggered something in my memory. I used to have sleep paralysis when I was younger.
Me too.
And you too? Okay, so it was like something that it was terrifying because it felt like
Yep.
someone was in a room or you're being held down.
Yep.
and you're trying to scream, you're trying to get out of this, and you can't. You just can't. And so this guy told me, hey man, whenever that happens, next time, look around, open your eyes. That's the first thing he said. Open your eyes, look around the room, see if you can see something, and if something looks out of sorts, you're dreaming, right? So the very next time that happened, and I was trying to scream, and I opened my eyes and I look, and when I look to where the bedroom door is at, it was on the opposite wall. And then I realized, oh, this is dream. And
Wow.
it kind of went away. And I haven't had him since that experience. So I've always been. Have you all had, like, Ronnie? Have you had one? You remember one?
When you said opening your eyes, what I recall is sleep paralysis, can't move, complete like fear, like something's in the room. But then I would also feel the sensation of being levitated off my bed.
Oh,
And I got the sensation that I was, like, say, laying on my stomach, and I could feel like this circular motion within, like, say, my chakras or whatever, abdomen, and then being almost like levitated up. But I could never seemingly open up my eyes. Like, it was just complete darkness. And this was like, I don't understand why I could never open my eyes. It was almost like maybe I wasn't in my body, and so that happened a lot. And yeah, I have always equated that with some kind of UFO alien type stuff, because that was that sensation I would get. And then having that weird UFO dream, and then finding out, oh yeah, you live in a place where there's UFOs and Bigfoot and all this other, you're like, okay, this explains why I've been, like, magnetically drawn to this kind of stuff, and why this weird stuff is happening. And then other people have had similar type of dreams or stories like that match that. So
that's wild, man.
Yeah.
Andrew, have you ever had sleep paralysis?
Yeah, quite frequently. I mean, it's happened a lot over the years. I noticed too, at times of higher stress in life, it can increase. And with all of this stuff, I think it's important too, based on people's experiences in life, awareness of this stuff, how much info you know about this stuff. When you learn more about it, right, it can change the experience. Or if you've been doing it from a young age, or this just started for you, you might have way more experience under your belt. I think that all intertwines in here a lot. And I notice whatever's going on in the 3D during the day, definitely there is an effect when I go to sleep at night as to what I'm having and experiencing in the
Correct. Yeah.
astral or in the dream world. Oh my God. I mean, if, for example, I've had dreams, it's interesting. I'll have dreams, and sometimes I'll wake up and go, I know somebody just passed away, because I just had a dream about it.
Whoa.
Or it doesn't have to be that exact person, but I'll have a
Mhm.
dream where I'm either communicating with a spirit or lights that have transitioned, and I'll awaken, or I'll literally shoot out of my bed, waking up, and I'm like, okay. For example, one time I got up and I was like, I know there were two lights I saw in a dream, these two round balls I saw. It was like a daytime type dream. I shot up and woke up, and I'm like, I know two firefighters just died. That's just the feeling I
Oh,
had.
wow.
Man.
I was like,
Wow.
I know it. And then I turned the news on, and two guys that I knew, they were firefighters. They were in the military part time, so they got deployed to, like, Iraq for some combat mission, and they died in a helicopter crash.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And it was just like I've had things like that happen over the years, where, like, I don't know them directly, but something is trying to send a message, or like a, pre-warning to something that's coming in the 3D, but it starts in that dream state. And I think it's because, for me, I think I'm, like, more open, and I notice I'm just maybe more very open in that state, we're sharing that other realm together, where, hey, anything come through.
We lost Philip.
Philip just went into another dimension.
He'll be back.
What that triggers me too is, I can't remember if I was in a dream that I could recall, but I was woken up in the middle of the night, and I remember having that same feeling, like somebody had passed away.
Mhm.
And it was this overwhelming feeling. I had no relation, no connection, but when I turned on the TV, Chris Farley had just died. and
Oh man.
and like literally like the news broke. It was like 2 in the morning or 1 in the morning or something, and I was like, oh, that was weird, because I felt like really strong emotional connection, and then there was something like turn on the TV, and it was like confirmation. Uh, that's the
Dude,
only one I can remember.
I had such a reaction to his passing because I was such a fan of Chris
Yeah.
Farley, man.
Oh
He
my
was one of
God.
my favorites. That
Yeah.
was a hard one. JJ, have you ever experienced that?
Yeah. So many times, not only with people, but also with like major catastrophes. A couple days before 9/11, I still have it to this day. I had this horrendous dream, and everything was gray, so kind of black and white and very gray. There was like gray ash or snow falling, and I was in an airport, and I was freaking out trying to find my mom, and people were ballistic. They were like running every different direction, and some people were frozen in place. And I walk outside the terminal because I'm trying to find my mom frantically, and I just see this huge pile of ash with all of these like flowers and cards on it. And like it was so big, it reminded me of those old school airport hangars, the ones that were like kind of domey shaped.
Yeah.
And I remember going over to it, and I felt very solemn, and I woke up and I was sobbing. I was so upset, and called mom immediately, and she's like, I'm fine. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay. And I even sketched out in the dream what I saw, having no clue what was happening. And so a couple days later, when 9/11 happened, which was odd, I started work late that day. So I was sleeping in, and my mom came in to my room to wake me up. And she said, hey, you need to wake up. Like a plane just went into the Twin Towers. And I said, I'll wake up later. Went back to sleep. She came in again. She said, sweetie, you need to wake up now. Like something is happening. And I said, no, 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 no. And then she came back in again. She goes, America's under attack. You need to come now. And so I wake up and I'm stumbling to the news, and then she takes off for work. Well, at that time, obviously I'm in California, right? So I'm not on the East Coast, but during that time where she worked was very close to a very famous base in our area. And so I go to work to find out that basically, we have to close the center. We're letting everyone go. Our entire area was under terror alert. So they were telling people to go home and like lock people down. Well, what ended up happening is they cut off all power to my mom's area. So I couldn't work. And I'm freaking out because they're telling people they're evacuating her area. And I'm frantically trying to get to her. And this is like while I'm awake happening, trying to get to her to make sure she's okay. And, everyone was okay at the time. And then I hearkened back to the dream a couple days before, and I was like, this was the same feeling I had in the dream of trying to find my mom and knowing like something massive was going on. I've had other dreams where I've had people come and just they've said weird things, and I'm like, oh, they're getting ready to pass. And then a couple of days later, we'll find out. Lots of world events that I've had predictive dreams of. You talked about sleep paralysis. I've had true sleep paralysis as well, where I was fully awake. I could see the room. I saw the entity that came in. I was completely frozen. That was not a pleasant experience. I was 7. And there was physical evidence. So I always slept with my door closed. That was the rule.
Me too. I'm the same.
Yeah.
Have to.
Yeah. And I am fully awake. I sense something open the door. I see this awful thing walk in, and it's breathing, and it wore a hat. It wasn't the traditional hat man, but it wore a hat, kind of like a fedora and an Abe Lincoln hat, had a weird baby. And I'm freaking out, and I'm trying to do, because I've been like this my whole life. So I was taught very young what to do in these situations, and something negative came in. And this was the most evil I've ever felt. And I'm trying to mouth it out loud. And even in my head, I could barely get it out. And this thing basically comes over by the bed and starts to sit down and says, just join us. Just join
Oh,
us. Just flip sides. That's all you
oh,
have to do is just say yes. It'll be so much easier for you. And finally I got it. And I remember trying to lift my hands up and trying to move, and I couldn't. And I don't ever want to feel helpless ever again like that. So finally I was able to get the words out and it left. But when it left, it never closed the door behind it. So that morning, my dad woke up really early for absolutely no reason, came down, and he was like, JJ, why is your door open?
ooh.
And then he looked around the room and he's like, who has been in here? And I was so scared because I felt like a failure. Like I had let this thing in somehow, like somehow it was my fault. And he slept next to my bed on the floor for the next 3 nights and held my hand
Really?
after that. Yeah. Because
That's
he could tell what came in, and that was bad.
Wow.
JJ, friend to friend. I just want to tell you, it was 100% absolutely your fault. Why did you? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Love you so much, bro.
Hey, Philip, have you ever experienced any of those? What do you call it? The sleep
Sleep paralysis?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. So that's kind of like how I cracked back open. It was like 2019. And I kind of pushed a lot of things outside of myself in terms of my what I consider my abilities.
Mhm.
And I can go into that later if you want. But so it kind of woke me up. It was literally a dream that turned into sleep paralysis with an entity. And the entity appeared to be either badly burned or reptilian. It was a female entity. Uh, and this is something that, like I said, started in a dream. So I'm asleep and I'm in this daycare and I start to notice that I'm lucid. I don't know how I know that, but I know I'm dreaming. And in this daycare, it seems like very dimly lit and there's desks everywhere. It doesn't look like a daycare at all. And floor to ceiling windows. And outside of those windows is a jungle. Um, and so at one of these desks, there sits this woman, and it's a blonde woman just sitting there. And she gets up, comes over to me, and I'm supposed to pick up my boys. I keep asking, "Where's my boys? I need to pick them up." And she starts just like basically grabs me and is, assaulting me at this point. And so I wake up. When I wake up, my eyes open immediately. And I'm looking at the ceiling. And I notice I can move my eyes, but I can't move anything else. And I can feel, though, on my right arm, both of its arms are wrapped around my right arm,
Oh.
which my right arm was almost hanging off of the bed. So where this thing was laying alongside of me, it would have had to have been levitating. Um, and I could feel its sort of tongue and breathing in my ear in a language that I don't understand. Um, but of course, I was panicked a little bit. Before that, I'd never experienced sleep paralysis. A lot of crazy dreams, but never that. But from the entity itself, I never experienced anything bad or negative. It was almost, not to sound creepy, but it was almost kind of loving in a way. So
Interesting.
this is a thing where you're still trying to panic. It's a very concerning feeling, but I'm moving my fingers on my left hand and I'm like frantically looking left and right. I'm trying to catch the outline of its body, which I can. I can just see the top of its shoulder and hips, and it looks badly burned or reptilian, almost certainly reptilian. Uh, from the hips, you could see like moonlight basically was the only light available. Um, And yeah, so after that, after I was able to move and it's gone, going to sleep from then on, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, I could feel it start to that same energy start to penetrate my mind in my dreams as I'm falling asleep. I could
Hmm.
feel it try to like creep in there.
Wow.
And that opened me to a lot of things, like my extrasensory abilities. I started to see the web again, what I call the web. I had masked that away for a long time, which is just, if you can think of a chain link fence style rainbow web sort of overlaid onto reality. Um, and so that was the main difference. And I went through this huge emotional sort of breaking open as a result of that. And it was a really, really hard road. It brought me to everything like the mountains. So that's, uh, it started it all, was the sleep paralysis.
Wow. That's
Hmm.
amazing, man. I've never heard of a reptilian type of entity in like a sleep paralysis thing. I've heard of shadow people. I've never
Yeah.
experienced that, but it's funny that JJ mentioned the Hat Man or something like the Hat Man because I hear stories of the Hat Man all the time.
Mm. Yeah, and I do see shadow people. They not even during sleep, but sometimes, like as a stress response, as we were talking about earlier, like uh, it's just overwhelming, and I'll see something vaguely humanoid crawl across the ceiling, or uh, just randomly like feel it in my presence. So um,
That's like
I
a
think
daily
that's,
event for me.
yeah, right.
It's weird when they don't show up. At this point. That's a weird day for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never show up for me.
Do you
I
want
would like to
to?
experience it. I would
That's
like to
okay.
experience it.
That's
Yeah.
We could fix that.
Well,
Be
Careful
careful.
what you wish for.
yeah, that you got a point there. But shadow people, I want to ask. Now we're on the subject real quick, Ronnie.
Yeah.
I've heard. Okay, so shadow people. A lot of people say they're ghosts. I don't really subscribe to like the loose shadows where you can see through. Okay, yes, but the super dark where
I have one. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. And it was during it was like a sleep paralysis thing
Okay.
where I was somehow wrapped around in my sheets that I couldn't move.
Mm,
And my bed was
Ooh.
next to I can see it right now, but next to the two windows, and it was daylight out. So it was like early morning, but bright enough the sun was coming through. And when I was like, I opened my eyes, there was a shadow person, the blackest black you could,
yeah.
in front of that window. It was this black silhouette, and I could just see the outline of head and the torso. And then I kind of rubbed my eyes, and
Wow, he rubbed his eyes and disappeared.
Now that's magical.
Ronnie, come back.
The shadow person stepped in front of the camera.
look at that
Ronnie.
timing.
Oh, there you are.
Frick.
You rubbed your eyes and you were gone, man.
I was like, telemarketer call. Fantastic. But yeah, that was, and it was just like a brief, it was long enough that I could see it was there.
Mhm.
And then as soon as it's almost like when you see something, you turn away and it's gone. Like, and that's how it was. But I was like, oh, I could feel its energy. It was not like my eyes were seeing something. And the fact that it was tied to the paralysis thing was my connection. I was like, okay.
Are those darker than dark ones from another dimension, like a higher dimension?
Maybe even a lower one. I don't know.
Ooh,
But
okay.
yeah, I just get the vibe it was like a negative. It wasn't like a good feeling, because I've seen the opposite of that, which I talk about in the book, my the second book, about seeing a light being, purest white light. So the opposite, like the yin and yang of that. And that was through an experience from a Reiki master and calling to see orbs and taking a picture of one, and then that showing up in my house after I was talking to her.
Yeah.
So that
That's
was
in the book.
cool, positive.
He talks
yeah.
about that in the book.
Yeah.
Guys, go out and get his book. I want to talk a little bit about the possibility that some of our dreams, not all our dreams, but that some of our dreams actually go to an alternate reality. Because I've had several dreams, and I'll just give you a quick example. One where I'm married to a different person that I actually know, I went to high school with. And in the dream, I just know that the relationship was bad. It was not a good relationship. I was not happy in it. There were a lot of issues. And when I woke up and I thought about that, I was like, why would I dream about something like that? And then I remembered right after my divorce, and she also had a divorce. I was comforting her because she was an old friend. We just caught up. And I was comforting her, making her feel like everything's going to be okay, talking to her. There was an opportunity that a relationship could have happened then, but I didn't I was like, nah, I'm not going to do this one. And I was like, wow, that could have actually happened. Like I could have actually said yes to that. And it could have led to what I dreamed about.
That timeline. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about that? Because some scientists are saying that is a possibility. That's something that it could be happening.
100%.
I think it falls within the quantum, right? Where every possibility timeline is available to you. It's like the imagination, like that's where you're going in that dream state. You're dreaming about things. So I think then it, becomes, you choose the path and it becomes the reality what we're in now, what we're going through. So I do think there are, you're either visiting potential future timelines, is what I get more than past events. It always seems to be something more forward. In my experience, I haven't really had ones where they've been more in the past, but it definitely seems like you're going into another possibility. And I've had other ones too where not so much worlds, but I think just different timelines that I've experienced.
For sure.
So I had one. This is a fun dream. Let's see if I get kicked off the internet now. So in the dream, it starts, I'm on like an aircraft carrier and I'm inside this giant room, probably like 5 stories high. And I'm up on a deck looking down, and there's all these things all over the ground. They're all neatly placed out, and they look like the telephone towers. Or remember the old like power towers? Tower of Power. Not that. They kind of look like the Eiffel Tower, but they're 4 power lines.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, I'm super great with electronics. So there were those, and they were about 4 to 8 feet high, depending, and they were all over the ground. And I'm looking at them, and I'm looking down, and I see a blue light spark on one, and then it arcs to another, and then it starts like zigzagging going. And in my mind, I knew the government was changing the timeline. Mm-hmm. So I run off the balcony into my room on the ship, as you do. And I run into the closet, into a wall safe, because I'm trying to get World War II memorabilia to save it. Somehow thinking if I can keep it with me, it will change timelines with me. And then the timeline shifts. And I'm with my ex, who at the time I was with, and he's telling me we're going on a trip, and he's telling me where we're going and how we're going there, which is not how you get there. And I look at him and I realize, oh my God, this is you in another timeline. Like, this is you if you had done a whole bunch of different work and life took you in a different direction. And I'm looking at him and I'm marveling, like, wow. And then the timeline shifts again. And I see this whole thing happening with the president, where I won't even get into that because that will get us kicked off the internet. But there was a whole thing that happened there, and it's very interesting. So, that dream really impacted me because it was shortly after that I started noticing timeline jumps. And I know I've talked about this before, but I have a scar from something that happened years ago, and it's on my face. I'm a makeup artist and I'm a female, so I look at my face a lot. And this scar has shown up and disappeared multiple times.
Wow.
And it was gone for about 3 months. And Dayvid, it showed back up about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Where is it?
No, I'm not telling you.
I knew she was going to say that. I've already asked her several times and she will not show us. Okay. Andrew, have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. So one thing I found very interesting. I've heard that if you have a scar that won't heal here on this reality here, it's because it is related to an injury from a previous timeline.
Oh.
For example, this is just totally random, but I was just walking. This is just out of nowhere. I'm walking randomly one day. I bump into someone, and they were like, "You're psychic." This is about 15 years ago, right? It's a long, long time ago. And I'm like, "Yeah, so are you?" And she's like, "Yeah, well, in a previous life, we were together, we were married." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I've heard this
Hmm.
before." Like, okay. And then she's like, "No, no, no." She goes, "But we were out eating, and somebody came in a restaurant, and they had a pulled a gun out to shoot, and you jumped in front of me, and you got shot right here, right?" And she pointed to the
Mhm.
left side of my chest, and I go, "That's really interesting because I had a long shirt on." I go, "I've had this scar here that just never healed right, and it looks like a gunshot wound or a stab
Oh.
wound." She
Wow.
pointed to that spot without, she didn't know me. We met randomly in another state. And then I was like, maybe she is saying something that maybe perhaps, right? Maybe that is. Who
Yeah,
knows,
That's
right?
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I've never gotten confirmation from someone or pretty close to.
that's
And she
amazing.
knew some other things that is just too strange, like, that's just too strange, too random, and too specific, right? That there's no
Mm,
way to
mm.
explain that thing. I know when they go in the Matrix, right? There's a scene where there's like 100 TV screens of
Mhm.
all the different options and timelines. I feel that we're in these co-current realities, right? Picture pieces of fiberglass 12 stacked on top of each other. You're on this plane of reality. We light off a nuke and it cracks the fiberglass a little bit.
Mhm.
That crack in the fiberglass affects the one above, the one below, and even maybe more than that and more below that. That's why UFOs are coming, because they're like, what the heck is going on? And that's part of this different dimensions and different timelines. Everything is kind of interconnected based on
Mm.
the continuous choices that you make. I think we're constantly shifting timelines, but that's why these dimensions, that's where the dimensional thing comes in, and these visitations, because that's
Yeah.
how we know it's all connected, is from doing these
Yeah.
things that cause these ripples.
Dolores Cannon says that each thought you're constantly changing, like you are regenerating every time, almost, with every thought,
Yep,
that reality.
simultaneously.
That's fascinating, man. Because to be quite honest, if I go back years and years and years, I didn't have dreams where it was like I could identify as an alternate. It was always bizarre dreams, different dreams, or whatever. But if you're saying something like an alternate reality that's below us, and maybe this is where the Mandela effect also comes, and there's a crack in the framework,
Mm.
does that allow our whatever goes into a dream, does that allow us to look into other alternate realities? That would be freaking amazing if that's the case.
Yeah, I believe that when you remote view, I've done remote viewing extensively, and I know other people that have too. And that's where, as well, you can get little glimpses on things. And that's where, for example, right, you're lighting off a bomb or a nuke or something, we're testing something, and it
Mhm.
causes a crack. Well, that affects the reality and the timeline and things like Mandela effects, because
Yeah.
that's literally affecting people manufacturing things, for example, right? I'm just saying, for example, say, we light off a nuke and it blows up some factory or whatever, and now that product never gets made. So
Oh
now
yeah.
that, you know what I mean? Like, say,
Yeah.
Haas avocados, just for example, that's one of Mandela effects. But say, spelt differently. It used to be HAAS, now it's HASS. It used to be
Yeah.
HAAS. The
Hmm.
CEO of Haas
Hmm.
figured this out. This is fascinating. But
Oh,
something
I
like that,
love it.
say the factory got blown up and it's
Yeah.
gone, and that doesn't exist. But I remember it. And so do you, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
there's people that swear, no, it was never here. So who's winding back? I think
Wow.
something or someone's winding this back for a better outcome, because the way it was going was probably not good. So right now they're trying
Oh,
to,
okay.
right? Because I would think they're trying to tweak it for the better. So we're still here, right? Because we want to
Well,
Yeah.
be here,
And
I
it,
would think.
and it seems to tweak the past, right? When we
Yeah,
manipulate the
Yes.
exactly.
future,
yeah,
Because
it
there's no,
it's that's why, there was Jiffy Peanut Butter Man. It's not
yes,
just right?
I
Like
know.
Berenstain Bears, all that, and I talk
Hmm.
about that in the book too. It's just like, it's I know. And then the more people go, I remember seeing a cornucopia in Fruit of the Loom, and now it's
Yep.
not there, and all these different things. So, yeah,
There's
and yeah,
Yeah, and I
the,
know that we talked about this on the last episode, David, that I
Yeah.
was on with you, but the timelines right now are being culled. So a lot of what we're seeing with Mandela effects and things are there's so many timelines that the higher dimensional beings need to cull them a little bit and compress them in order for them to be able to come down because the dimensions are also starting to blend into one another. And this is where we're going to see more interdimensional beings. Ronnie, I know that's the theme of your book, which I can't wait to read. It's next on my list.
It's a good book.
Plug. So, but that being said, I feel like this is a lot of why some of these timelines are shifting and why, this isn't just myself with the scar. Like I talk to a lot of people and I have multiple people who are having scars appear, reappear, memories of things or things showing up in their house or things that they knew that they had that all of a sudden now they don't. Dates changing, things like that just they don't make sense. And the only thing that does make sense is what Spirit has been talking to me and showing me, which is the timelines are being culled. So a lot of them are being compressed, which is why one day you wake up and things are just slightly different. And then the other day you wake up and they're slightly different, but back again. Songs, for instance, are a big thing. A couple of us have decided we have one song that's our constant that we've listened to maybe our whole lives. And when I listen to that song and it sounds weird, and it shouldn't sound weird, it's the same version, that's usually when I know there's been some shift. Usually because I'll feel it in some other way, but that's like my tester. And the other day it was really interesting. I listened to the song Bury Me by, what was the band Jared Leto was in? We all know the band.
Oh, 5 Seconds to Mars or something like this?
Yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars, that one.
Okay, well.
And I listened to it and I haven't heard it in a while, but I know that song pretty well. Played it way out when it came out and the timing was off. And I'm like, And it was the original version. So, obviously there's like 200 versions of everything now. So you have to make sure it's a constant, but little things like that can be tweaked and they're going to show up also in your dreams. You're going to usually sense it there before, in my opinion, in some aspect that something's just different. And I feel like it's Spirit's way of preparing you so that it's not a big jolt.
It makes me think that, what she's talking about, what Andrew's talking about, it makes me think that this really is a simulation. Like there's almost not a possibility that it's not because of all these, if you think about the cracks or you think about the different timelines or, there's like you said, Andrew, about the part in the Matrix where there's like all these different TV screens and Neo we're having a different reaction in every single one of them. And I used to always think, oh yeah, you go left, you go right. That's where it changes. It's not just left or right. There's a trillion things you can do differently that'll create another timeline. And it just blows my mind to think about. I freaking love that.
it might explain what UFOs are about too.
Yeah, I've had people reach out to me that say they have brothers and sisters that are part of the Mandela effect that were here that are not here now.
Whoa.
Like they were born,
Really?
they had a brother, they had a sibling, they had a neighbor. There's stories out there you can find online, but I've had people contact me and said, "Hey, I had this neighbor, or I had this cousin or this brother. I grew up with him. They're gone now. They don't exist." And they have, they claim they have proof, but they can't go to anyone. You know what I mean? How can you?
Yeah.
No one's going to go on TV with that. But if it exists in songs and movies,
People.
it is everywhere. Then you know what I mean. That's
Oh,
just like the
100%.
breadcrumbs.
100%.
Yeah,
I've
it's
had it
in
where I've
everything.
had people die and now they're alive. And
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
so we're saying the same thing, Andrew. We're just using different terminology for it. But I mean, honestly, we're all saying pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
And the interdimensional beings, from higher and lower. Absolutely, Ronnie. There are some from lower that have come up, and that was not a pleasant experience, but I dealt with it. And I've had some from higher, and sometimes they do look like shadow people. Sometimes they look like a cutout of the fabric of reality. And sometimes they are light beings. I think it just all depends on why they're there or where they're from. But I also believe that we travel to different dimensions in daily life, in our dreams. If you're meditating, I know for me, when I meditate, I'm not here
You're not even in your body
most of the time now.
most of the time. Yeah. So
David,
yeah.
I have I'm gonna send you later. I have some photos that I've taken. There's a couple times that I got woken up at 3 in the morning when I was living in Brooklyn. Same thing, grab a camera. I always had a camera near me or something to film. And I took photos of shadow people, shadow
Oh,
beings. They
yes.
look like just what you think of black, like literally a black vibrating outline of like a ball of energy, but it's almost in like a human shape. You know what I mean? But it
Yeah.
looks like it's vibrating or in the room with me, next to me, these black outlines with red eyes. I'll send them to you later. I got a
Yeah,
ton
for
of stuff.
sure. Dude.
Yeah,
That's
Wow.
yeah. Just thinking about it now, I would keep
cool.
them and I'm like, I'm seeing it in 3D. And I'm like, I see that there. I'm with people. We take a picture and I'm like, oh my God, there's something on the beach. You could see this outline is right there or in my room. So if
Wow,
you
That's
man.
come,
a great idea to take pictures in the middle of the night, Ronnie. Like you and I got to grab
yes,
our cameras apparently in the middle of the night, like Andrew,
I
and start
always,
snapping things.
always keep, I mean,
I
now you got
never thought
iPhones,
to do that.
but yes, I always did it no flash. You know, I try no flash. Obviously, you don't want to
Yeah,
disturb them. But if you have some sort of camera with no flash that you can get a decent photo of, or even the iPhones that were really good, you'll get it. Keep it right next to you.
thank you. Can you please put those in the group chat so I can see?
Oh yeah, yeah. You're gonna love
So,
it because you don't like you think of it after. You're like, oh my God, I wish I had my camera. You know what I
mhm,
mean? After, but
mhm.
I just learned. I'm like, I get woken up, especially at 3 a.m., and that is the witching hour for all this. They're outside. They're all, you know what I mean? Especially if I have a vision or a download or whatever. I'm like, they're here, get the camera. And there's something, I can feel it in the room usually. And either I can see it or I just take the picture and I'm like, okay, it's right there. And it is like that pulsation, vibrating thing.
Hmm. That's
So
a
do you
trip.
take video or just stills?
Both.
Nice. Okay.
Most of the time, just picture, like, I don't even want to get involved with filming, you know, just
Yeah.
quick, I would take like 10, click, 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 just click, 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 and try to just keep what's going on in the moment. But
Okay.
yeah, yeah, I have videos, but a lot of back in the day, mostly just photos would just be like one thing after the other of these things. But it would be interesting too, Ronnie. You'd like this.
Hmm.
I'd either be outside one night I was out, I took this picture of this. I don't know if it is or something that would resemble what you would say is the dog man, right?
Yeah.
I'm out, dog man, something like that. I'm out. However, in the same night, I'm taking this picture of the dog man. Then these shadow figures start coming. I'm on the beach in Coney
Hmm.
Island. I'm not in the woods. I'm not in the mountains. But this thing, whatever it was, I took a picture of. I'm on the beach in the middle of the night in Coney Island, Brooklyn. No one's out. There's nothing except me and whatever these things are. I don't know if they're coming out of the water. They just appear. They slip in and out. Usually
Wow.
when I'm meditating or trying to, focus and intention or I'm woken up and drawn to it. But I'd stay out there for hours and these things would just appear along with, and they're always, when they're there, there's UFOs always with them.
Balls of
Always.
light or like ships, like.
On the ground, lights in the sky, moving, gliding, physical
Hmm.
objects in the sky,
Hmm.
far away. I would see them maybe 50 to 100 feet away, and in a second, it could be 2 feet away from me. 2 feet,
Wow.
two
Wow.
Wow.
feet. The orbs, and when they come close to me, sometimes they're the size of an ant, but when they
Yeah.
are away from you and they power up, they look like the size of a planet, but they're tiny when they get close to you.
Hmm.
I don't know if they change shape or they can break down the dimensions and they get
Right.
smaller as they get
Yeah.
closer or whatever they're doing. But I've had them get close to me where they literally look like so if somebody was around, they'd be like, oh, that's an ant or a bug, but it's not. It's
Right.
an orb.
Have
That
you
is
ever taken a
amazing.
picture of those?
That is awesome.
Oh God, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do
Yeah,
they
I'll
still
send everything in the
retain the
group.
orb shape or do they resemble human shape? Because I've seen like Sprite. lights. And that's how I used to see them. They would look like little lights, and we would take
Yeah.
pictures. Or when they would get up close, and you could just the tiniest little outline of like a human-esque body.
Yeah, I had a roommate in Brooklyn who had a herniated disc,
Mhm.
and I said, "Come in my room. Let's just play around, see what happens." So I was doing a little meditation on him. So let's just take some photos. In the photo, there is what to me looks like. I mean, I'm not super religious, but something that would look like a Christ-like or figure, something like that,
Oh
in
wow.
the room, putting his hand
Oh,
on this guy, like his
Yeah.
hand. You'll see. I'll put the photo in the
Send it
group.
to me, man.
There's a black, like a black shadow figure. There's this black thing, and then next to it looks like a hand, literally like pushing on
nice.
this guy, like pushing on him. It was
Mm.
pushing, and he said he felt better after. I mean, who knows? But
Wow.
these things, whatever it is, that's how I interpret it. But it's something that looks human, like it looks like pinkish. It's interesting.
That is super cool, man. Oh my god. I know
Yeah.
Ronnie's wife has a video outside their house where he saw some orange orb coming and she was able to catch it, right, Ronnie? It's in the book.
Yeah, so it was we had these thunderbirds that were seen like the size of school buses flying in the sky, playing after each other, and then we saw a green one coming through this orb that we could see something spinning inside of it, and then my wife caught like 22 seconds of it's like whitish blue, and what you see in the video doesn't look, and you hear this so many times from everybody, what we saw with our eyes. It
Mhm.
it, it looked more like a bird flying but made of light, and a much smaller version of those two. When we got that thing flying like right over our heads, and before it hits the tree line, it looks like it has wings. So you know, the green orb was like Ezekiel's wheel, and then it was like we're seeing like these angels or plasma beings in tandem with all this stuff. So to your point about seeing the dogman and shadow, and seeing some of these orbs, we were seeing these larger light beings, and I just got the Thunderbird was what I was getting when I was watching these things.
That's
That is
beautiful.
so
But yeah, it was
interesting
wild.
because you're
It was
not
wild.
just seeing one thing, you're seeing several things in the same. It's almost like you're looking through a
And it,
window.
it was after one after another, like seeing those first two chasing after playfully. It wasn't like they were attacking each other. They were almost putting on a show. Chinese dragons, phoenixes, whatever you want to call them. Minute two later, a green beach ball sized orb following that same path, heading in that same direction. And a couple minutes after that, like a baby version of those first two Thunderbirds, whitish blue, almost trying to keep up, like, oh, I'm gonna miss the.
That is so
And
cool,
each
bro.
each pass, they were getting closer and more like over us as it happened. So it was wild.
So pretty. I'm curious after the orbs, or if you have had dreams with, visitations from aliens or orbs or whatever comes through. Do you guys notice any changes to your skin color, breakouts, rashes, burns?
Marks,
What?
sometimes
Mark.
marks,
Marks.
dots.
Okay.
Yeah, some dots, some
Oh
dotting.
wow.
My wife will get more of that too. She's very sensitive to it. But I'll just get like dots or like even a triangle pattern. So, like I know
Interesting.
a lot of times when I see craft, they'll be in a triangle formation, and then I'll go to sleep or I wake up in the morning. There's like what looks like a triangle. Like makes no sense. Not a scratch. It's it just it's not like I scratched myself. There's something, just three dots. I'm like, wow, that's wild.
Does an experience like that affect your dreams? Like if you see something that and then that night,
Oh
do
my
you have
god.
a yeah?
I've been in group C, 5 groups up in Albany, New York. We'll have contact all night, and then we'll sleep at the person's house. So there's giant sleepover after, and look, people waking up all throughout the night, like I gotta go outside, and there'll be a golden craft above the house.
Oh
People,
wow.
same thing. Get your camera. We just went to bed at midnight. People going back out at 3 a.m. filming the craft again. People are waking up saying, "I feel it. It's outside the window." Same thing, and the dreams are just, oh my
Mm.
god, so intense. Downloads, yeah, definitely. It's. I feel it's like you're opening up, right? You're like cracking open the veil, or the
Mm.
fabric or whatever this thing around. You're just cracking it open more and more and removing all the bullshit and filters we have. Every time you're getting closer and closer to wherever it is that we really are from as we keep doing this.
Mm.
So I'm going to ask a question and tell my story at the same time. Yay. So because from a very young age, my dreams have never been pleasant. I'm just going to put that out there. Obviously, the work that I do deals with the more unpleasant things, but, and that's fine. That's what I signed up to do. But my dreams have never been super pleasant. Um, Till I got COVID. Then I had my first like real fun dream. I was like, this is nice. I jumped off a unicorn. But most of my dreams are highly unpleasant. And from like very, very little, I can remember I always fought sleep to the point where I would just lay there and, read a book or, do anything I could do. I would fight sleep. I mean, I'm talking like 2 years old. I can remember doing this. So I've had to take a plethora of stuff in order to get myself to sleep. And once I'm asleep, I'll stay asleep. It's just getting there. And so I've tried a little bit of everything, and Dayvid knows because I got him on these. They're called Moon Chews, and they're vitamins that you can, they're like little gummies, and they're these fun little vitamins. And I found them randomly, started taking them, and now I'm like able to gently go to sleep. And I know David's kind enough because he's a big man that he has a fun discount code for these, which is fantastic. Do they work for you, Dayvid, by the way?
Yes. It's funny you bring that up. I was going to talk about that. It's moonbeams, is it not, JJ?
Moonshoe.
Okay, so I've been having trouble sleeping, especially when it's like whenever you fall asleep and your mind is like spinning all the time. I've been doing that a lot lately, and I got these. Thank you, JJ, for that. And I was able to like incorporate them right before I go to bed. I pour some in a cup, spin it up because it comes with a little spinner, and I'll drink that, and I will fall right to bed because I've always been jealous of my girlfriend. She just closes her eyes and she's asleep. And like I'm still there laying thinking about things, and I'll say, "Hey, are you awake?" And she's gone, man. And so now with this, I've noticed because I have the Apple Watch and it details my sleep. I've gone from like 50s, 60s, all the way to my 90s taking this, dreaming with this. So I'll go ahead and leave a little link at the end of this so you guys can get 30% off of it. It's really great. I swear by it.
So he has the powder. I've been using the gummies. They really do work. I've tried everything. I've tried, from prescription to everything natural and in between. And it used to take me 3.5 hours to fall asleep.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
With, like a ritual, and you had to tie me down, the whole thing. And now I'm able to go to sleep in, I think the shortest time I clocked was 22 minutes, which is amazing for me, right? After 3.5 hours. But that being said, so the reason I fought sleep for so long is because my dreams are not always pleasant. They're not always wonderful experiences. Sometimes I'm just observing, but most of the time I'm very active and a participant. So with all of you and your different experiences and backgrounds, do you either fight sleep or do you enjoy sleep? Or like, would you say your dreams are good and bad, like kind of depending on life and your day and everything going on? Or would you say it's consistent? I'm always
I go to sleep instantly.
Oh.
I'm one of those people. I go to sleep instantly, and I can't take those products or even like Benadryl because I will have the wildest dreams and anything that keeps you asleep. I took some gummies at one point, and I'm laying in my bed, and I wake up, but I can't stay awake. I'm looking up and I'm surrounded by these shadow figures. There's one above me, one on either side, and two at the foot of my bed. And they're saying the same thing. It's an acronym inside of like my practice, it's called vitriol. It's an acronym. And they're repeating it, but they're doing it in Latin. So I'm falling back into sleep. And I never ate, I haven't eaten gummies to this day after that. Like I'm not, that one was a little concerning.
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
why.
And it's not
Wow.
a terrible acronym. And I didn't get like the worst feeling from it. It was just frustrating, like waking up and seeing that and hearing the chanting and then drifting back in without being able to get up. And it was just really, really bizarre. But that's not like uncommon. If I take something that keeps me asleep, it's just, it can be really rough and not always bad, but like generally I'm one of those annoying people though. I can just knock right out.
Yeah. You're my girlfriend, man. Seriously.
I still love
know.
you, but I'm a bit jelly.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
I know
Uh,
with the same thing with the dreams with for me personally, when I was 5 and then when I was 13, I woke up in the middle of the night. Basically, I saw a friend sitting at the end of my bed. He was saying to me, "Everything's okay. I'm okay." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm 5 years old. What's going on?" And when I, okay, you're okay, okay, everything is okay. All right, cool. I
Cool.
get up the next morning and I found out he passed away. I'm like,
oh,
then I'm 13, wake up in the middle of the night, my friend, my best friend, right there, talking to me. Everything's okay. Don't worry. Everything's gonna be okay. Okay, okay. Get up in the morning. My mom tells me, "Oh yeah, he passed away last night." I'm like, "Wow." So there
Wow.
was times where I'm like, I don't even want to dream.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
that.
Right. Right.
That's
You don't want to
enough.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Twice
traumatic.
that, I'm good. I'm done. No more. Don't. You know what I mean? I mean, it sparked my curiosity, but I think at that age, it's traumatic. If I had it now, I'd be like, whatever.
Sure.
But at 5 and 13, I'm like, I didn't have this support or people to bounce off of. It was just like, figure it out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whatever that means. So it was a little messed up. I had trouble sleeping after that. I didn't want to sleep. I spoke with therapists. I did a lot of work. And
Yeah.
then luckily, my saving grace was Unsolved Mysteries.
Hmm.
Watching that with my grandmother and saying, wait, if these people are doing that and these are just regular people and they're sharing what they've gone through and all right, well, I'm not alone. Like maybe there's others or this is
Right.
possible. And
Right.
Yeah.
that kept my mind green. You know what I mean? And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what helped me to continue to expand upon this. But at first, no, it was not good. And depending on what I'm going through in life, same thing. If I'm going through personal things or horrible things that are going on, the dreams are usually not good. It's very reflective for me.
Hmm.
Ronnie, have you had
I know I haven't had, well, nothing that specific, but I know my wife was just talking about this a couple weeks ago. Her uncle had passed away. She didn't know it at the time, but and she said it was a dream, but not really. She could only see out of one eye,
hmm,
but she saw a
Wow.
ball of light come into the bedroom, and in the doorway was her uncle. And there was no communication, but she saw the orb, she saw the uncle, and then when she got up in the morning, she found out that her uncle had passed away.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
But there was
amazing.
no like talking or anything, but she just was like, I could see what looked like him, and this orb was coming to see her, and then that's what she remembers. But she goes, the distinct thing that she remembers is only be able to see out of one eye. So almost like the mind's eye is
Yeah.
my
Wow.
Yeah.
interpretation of that.
For me, to answer JJ's question, I go through these. They're like cycles, right? So there was a cycle where I could remember not just one dream, but several dreams a night because you dream multiple times a night,
Sure. Mhm.
and I could remember up to three dreams, three different ones, and have a pretty amazing recall. But then there's like right now, I'm not remembering. It seems like anything,
Hmm.
which is bizarre. But I would say, a couple of months ago, I was not enjoying dreaming because they were extremely unpleasant. And I couldn't remember what they were, but I did not enjoy it. I did not. And I remember thinking, oh, I want to go to sleep. I don't want to have these dreams or whatever's happening in my sleep. But it seems like that's subsided. It's just like waves to me. It seems like you get a wave of this or you get a wave of that, and it's good for a while. You just got to ride it. And then same thing with the bad ones. You just gotta write them through, I guess. But
Right.
Yeah,
put
and
that
I also think it depends, yeah, a little bit on what's happening in your daily life, right? As well as what's happening in the collective, what's happening in the ether. I mean, not that all my dreams are awful and terrible. It's just like I don't get the fun dreams like everyone else does, you know, like being naked in class or my teeth falling out. I had that once, but it was very different than everyone else's experience. But so I had reoccurring dreams when I was very, very little, up until I want to say mid teenage years, like to the point where somehow my mom was able to find the only counselor who is also psychic, and into metaphysics, thankfully, because they might have locked me away during my time period when I was young. And the reoccurring dream was I was probably about like 5 or 6 in the dream. So I was having this before I was even that age. And I was surrounded by clouds and I was reading this huge book. This book was like 3 times bigger than I was. And as I'm reading the book, I look up and I made eye contact with myself and I opened my mouth to scream. And I would wake up and sit up straight and I could still hear the scream in my ears. And it was so jarring. And so finally, after a couple nights of waking up just screaming and panicking after this, I finally told my parents, and my dad was like, "Oh, it's because you went to another dimension and there's no time there like there is here. So when you come back, it's very jarring because you're back in your body and you're back in time. Time isn't linear, as well as you were reading the book of life." And so like it took me years to kind of unravel all of this. And then in realizing, all these years later, like thinking back to that reoccurring dream, because it was always the same, and thinking it was me reading the book of my life and things that I would go through and how horrendous it was going to be. But at the same time, like, there's always a backstory, right? To every character, every book or movie or plot. So I'm wondering, have any of you had reoccurring dreams?
Well, before we get into that, I just want to say thank you to Ronnie and Andrew. They both have to leave us right now. Dude, thank you, Ronnie. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
being
having me.
here. Man,
Thanks
it's
for
been a
having me, guys.
pleasure. Andrew, thank you so much, guys.
No problem.
Y'all, you sleep well, Andrew. I know he's going right to sleep. It's like 2-something in the morning over there.
Oh man.
Ronnie, again, please go out and get your book, Interdimensional,
Thanks,
by
bro.
this guy, Ronnie LeBlanc. All right, you guys.
Awesome.
Great meeting you guys.
Thank you.
Good to meet
Same
you
here,
guys.
guys. You take care,
See ya.
right? Stay in touch.
Bye, guys.
You
See
too.
you guys.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good evening.
All right, it's 3 of us left.
Then there were 3.
All right, Philip, have you ever had reoccurring dreams?
Yeah. I mean, I've had recurring dreams. I think one of the ones that it wasn't a bad thing. It's actually a pretty cool story is the classical music. I kept waking up and I was hearing specifically Chopin.
Nice.
And
Good choice.
that's now my favorite. Like I wasn't a huge fan before, but I was searching through like YouTube and Spotify and stuff, like trying to find the music I was hearing when I was waking up. And I would get a lot of messages like that. I would hear one of the messages was, "Your number is 104."
Okay.
I would hear that some voice say, "Your number is 104," which of course numerologically is 5. And it sort of drove me crazy from there. 5's kind of like took over. It happens that that's my life path number.
Cool.
But so, yeah, it's weird. A lot of waking up and hearing that music. And sometimes I'll wake up and I'll hear repeatedly like shamanic drumming. So that kind of happens, I don't know, every 2 or 3 months.
So it's like shaman, right? That's what you're
Kind of, yeah. It's like
Just-
you'll hear it just like what you expect to hear. It's almost like an indigenous type of drumming style. Um,
That's cool.
Mhm.
yeah,
It's like a steady beat in order to help you rhythmically journey.
possibly, yeah, yeah. There was
Interesting.
I think about all the possibilities, but I think that like carrying over from one state to the next is, it's kind of a thing that we're all going to experience. I think if we're paying attention.
Yeah, I've been really jealous of all y'all because y'all have really interesting experiences, and I have a lot of work to do. I'm fully open now. I fully feel like because I used to be closed completely from this. But
Mhm.
to answer your question, JJ, I used to have this reoccurring dream. I was 23 years old. I remember exactly because I would have a dream of the number. But the thing that would happen is I would be at a train track, approaching a train track, getting hit by a train.
Oh.
Sometimes I would be in it over the track when it hit. Sometimes I would be trying to get out and halfway out the door when it hit on the door. But it was relentless. It was like I was having this all the time, and I hated it. I just could not change the dream, and I thought that it was going to happen to me. What ended up happening, I went to see someone. My cousin said, well, let me take you to someone. This is like in San Diego, Texas. There's a very famous psychic, something, witch lady, I guess, would be more appropriate. And she was like, I remember getting to her house and looking on the walls, and she had these pictures with these prominent people. And I asked her, because she spoke nothing but Spanish. I asked her, what's up with this? And she says, oh, these are people who came to study me and
Oh wow.
believe what I do, and they found out that it's real and all this stuff. Oh wow, okay, great. Well, she started to do this. I don't know if you know what the egg thing is. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was doing. She got some eggs out. She got a glass of water. She was doing the egg in my head and my body and all this stuff. And then she cracked the egg into the water, and it was blood filled. There was nothing but blood into the water. And she said, oh, not good,
Mhm.
basically. And so she got another one, and she did it again and did this, whatever, crack again, blood.
Wow.
And so she started to do this praying and she started to tell me, at the time I lived on Padre Island, which is right near Corpus Christi and where I grew up. And she says, I can see you looking out your window and then you're surrounded by water, which is she was absolutely right. And she says, you're being haunted by two spirits, but they weren't dead. They're friends. They're alive. And they're not your friends. You think they're your friends, but they're not your friends. They're trying to do you harm. Figure who it is, get away from them. This is going to help you. And since that day on, I didn't have the dream. It went away, which I was like, wow, that's whatever she did, it worked. Cut to my my 40s. I remember when I first moved to San Antonio to go to work, I had to go across two train tracks, and they always kind of spooked me because I would always remember the dream.
Mhm.
Well, many years later, I'm used to it. It's no big deal. I cross them all the time. Nothing ever happens. One day I'm driving, and I have the music blasting, man. It's early morning. I'm trying to get my mind right. And as soon as I pass, I look in the rearview mirror. Like I pass and something catches my attention. A train just went by. Like it missed me, dude, by that much. I didn't see it.
No.
And it the things that go down, the warning, they didn't work. And neither did the alarm. And I missed it. I swear, dude, I was like, could not believe that happened. And I just wondered, was that an alternate life, timeline that I escaped it, and another one I did not, and that's why I was dreaming it. But that's one I had.
Could very well be. Was it like a super? Did you feel like you were on like the edge of a decision or some
I don't
sort of
remember. I remember feeling nothing. I remember thinking, like, it was kind of unusual that I was the only one going. Like there's other cars on the street. It's kind of a busy street, but it was like this morning I was the only one on the street, and I was like, oh, this is weird, right? But this is great, and the music's blaring, and it's my like I'm in that mode. I'm trying to get psyched for today, and just barely missed it. Barely. I mean, it could have hit me a little bit, and I would have went, but I got so lucky.
For sure.
So lucky.
I have to point out that you were at a crossroad, which is what I'm getting from that is sort of like pops out because it's those spaces are always like it's almost like something transformational or some change has to happen after that, after you have these liminal sort of experiences like that.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if that was true for you or not, but the crossroads jumped out at me. And, of course, being a Hermeticist, Hermes and Hecate, both very liminal beings, sort of jump out at me. And when I think about that, it's like, how many times do we do that and we don't even notice it?
Right. Right.
That must have been intense. I can't imagine you felt good.
I didn't. It was first I was angry at why didn't those things drop? Why didn't the little noise it makes go? Turns out it was down, which is weird. Fix it, right? But I was like, it wasn't long after that I had a fire happen in the apartment above mine, and that changed my life.
Really?
That moment changed my entire life, and I started to see, and this happens a lot now. I can see other ways that I've died in other timelines. I can see it. It's like, oh damn, that was one. Oh, here's another one. It's it's not just death now. I can see other choices I've made, like reactions and what happens and stuff. And it's bizarre. It's a little weird because that night of the fire, I remember making two choices, which was one was watch TV, stay awake, or take a nap. And I have a memory from both of those things. So I feel like I've seen the other side. I didn't make it in the other one. I died in a fire. In the one that I did make it, I survived it by maybe 10 minutes. The firefighter was saying, you didn't get out of there for another 10 minutes, you would have died from smoke inhalation. So
do you experience that viscerally, like you feel like you're burning, or is it like a memory?
It's a memory of waking up from the same noise that made me get up from my chair. Okay. There was a window that crashed, like it sounded like someone threw a brick through it. And I remember waking up and thinking, what the hell is that? And then going back to sleep. But in the actual memory that I experienced, I got up from my chair to go and look. And then I looked down, I could see glass, and it was from basically the fire just blew out the window. I was thinking, oh, these people are fighting again. They were always fighting. I figured they broke the window, right? But yeah, it was weird. I didn't realize it till later. I didn't realize that, but I was wondering, why did I never took a nap? Why am I having that memory? Why is that happening? I had this little mark in the back of my neck that resulted from, I don't know what, it just came after. It looks like a burn, and it's slowly growing. It started to grow, spread to the other side. And I'm like, it's like I have a 3rd-degree burn that's growing on me, which is bizarre, and I cannot explain it. And after that, also, I could smell fire, smoke, when there wasn't any. That one blew my mind because, I immediately, the first time it happened was like weeks and weeks afterwards. I immediately got up and ran to see if the oven was on or what. Is there a fire here? Is there a fire outside? And that happened for a very long time, to the point where I realized it's just either it's in my head or it's something I'm experiencing from the other whatever, right? And there is no fire. And that kind of bothers me because sometimes I'm like, well, you better check anyway, just in case, right?
Yeah, I want to be like hypervigilance for sure.
Yeah, but that whole thing was very connected to that train incident, I think. Like a crossroads, like you say.
Oh yeah. Those are important. I think I've had a lot of those liminal experiences, and we can draw like a lot of the negative that comes from it.
Right.
But in some ways, you have to kind of let go of those labels surrounding what happens after that, because um, you sometimes you have to just become fertilizer, and you just have to uh, unfortunately look from a perspective that people don't often look from. And uh, my dreams have taught me that a lot, and experience with these liminal ideas. Um, and just think about that correlation of the dream, which is a mental or perceptive sort of creation.
Mm.
And I believe personally that the all is mind. Um, I think we live in a mental universe. People say like a simulation, but I broaden what I think a simulation is to some degree. But I think that, as above, so below. If the above is going to have that liminal space of dreaming and creation, then there must be a physical manifestation of that in our physical space. And what you're describing to me, kind of that experience is kind of like that. It's those liminal sort of instances that really end up changing things, and they mean a lot in the long run.
Yeah, it certainly changed my life. Like I would not be in the space I'm in now. I certainly would not be doing podcasting or
Wow.
social media. I wouldn't be doing any of that because I really didn't believe in this stuff, and I also was a very angry person at those moments, and something changed in me. So yeah, I think that you may be right. It was a crossroads for sure,
Hmm.
and now I'm here and I'm happy and I'm doing something I love and enjoy that I never thought I would be able to do, which is this. So, and meeting people like you guys, loving this.
That's the
Absolutely.
best part of it.
Yes, sir.
Can I
JJ,
ask you a question?
yes, please.
Were you 41 when that happened?
Oh man, let's see. Uh,
Carry the one.
yeah, I'm trying to go back. 16. Yeah, yeah, it
You were?
was. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Something just,
Yeah. So Philip, once we were chatting about something, and he channeled this. He's like, I don't even understand what this message is.
Mm-hmm.
And we were texting back and forth. And so he just rattles this thing off, and I stopped because at that point, no one had known what was going on in my personal life. And I just started laughing because it was so dead on. And then it gave a time frame, like for the future, for something that was coming up. And it's so funny because when everything happened and we hit that time frame, I messaged him back and I was like, so I screenshotted this and I saved it, and this is exactly what's going on at this point. So I love when those channeled messages come through. Thank you, Philip, for sharing that.
Yeah.
no problem. I'm glad it works out. I wish I could control it. It's, this is like how I write poetry a lot, is like,
It just
and
flows.
these ideas that come from a flow state where I interact with what I call the muse, a diamond, the concept of the diamond, which is not like demon, not like a lot of people would associate it. Very different, more like a guide. And even like yourself on a fractal above you, if you want to say light body, maybe.
Higher self.
Yeah, sometimes I have to ask because a question like that, or it just pops out because it's like in my ear, and it literally is all I can hear.
Shut up until you ask it.
Yeah.
Oh, I know those when spirit's like, do this now, and I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. The guy that just left us, Andrew Rancewitz, he is the psychic firefighter. This is going to drop before the episode with him on Dayvid Don't Know drops. So just to let you know, that's going to be out there. The way he came into this, fascinating. The way he developed it, wow. So yeah, I'm just the way you're able to interpret what you hear and what you see, the way JJ is able to do it, the way Rads is, it's just to me fast. I mean, I want to be able to do that. I think on some level, I'm starting to develop on the lowest level possible the ability to hear energy or feel what someone is feeling.
Yeah.
And it's usually if they're open, and if they're closed and whatever, I really can't pick up anything. But it's funny how I can feel someone's joy, someone's happiness, or whatever. And that's
Path. And you've been doing this for some years. You just didn't have a label or a name for it.
true. I didn't. But yeah, I mean, I'm the kind of guy. Tell me if you guys are like this, because Angie and I talk about this all the time. I'm the kind of guy that I'm concerned for how someone else feels. I'm not the kind of guy who's on the phone talking out loud in a group of people, because I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to disturb anyone's peace. I wouldn't put myself in that space. I don't want to hurt anybody in that way. Do you guys identify with that? Does that make sense? Yeah. There's some people that are not like that at all.
No, I get, the joke is that I'm like the most Canadian polite person out there. Of how I'll act, and it's called a Canadian four-way stop, where everyone wants to let everyone else go, so we all just sit there. And then, finally someone will break it. But yes, it's being conscientious, it's being concerned, it's not being a doormat, it's just caring enough for other people to not want to disturb their peace, and for them to have a nice experience the way that you are, other people are.
Awareness,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, that's how I grew up, as a sort of a experiencer of like a lot of traumatic upbringing and stuff like that. I think my temperament developed from that, but I also suffer from being on the spectrum. So maybe I like notice things, and like you said, I just don't want my impact to be a net negative on things.
Yeah. Dude, I think, can everyone relate to some experiencing like a difficult childhood or something that was horrific or some sort of trauma? I think a lot of people, it's the people that don't experience that. There's got to be some that are like, this was easy, right? There's got to be some people that are like, this is a fun time, man. I love it. I love it a lot.
I've met some, and it's fantastically interesting to see the difference between what bothers them versus people who have gone through so much that very little bothers them, because it's all perspective.
All right, guys. So there's one more thing I want to talk about before we go. It should be a really quick one. It's about shared dreams. Have y'all ever experienced that?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Go ahead, JJ.
I've had so many of these. I've had ones where, I've had a part of the dream, someone else had it. I've had them where we both wake up and we were both there explaining the same dream. I've had them with groups of people who have never even physically met. I know Philip and I have seen on the Discord, there's been times where, I'll post my dream, other people post theirs, and we're all kind of filling in details of the others. And I've also had dreams that for whatever reason I'm drawn to tell somebody about it that kind of makes no sense. Like, hi, random, would you like to hear this weird dream? And they'll tell me that they had a dream, and it's either the similar word or similar things happening. And it's, even though I might not have seen them there in the dream, we both pretty much dreamt about the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, I feel that's just being tapped into the collective and to the ether. And spirit will usually guide me to the right people to connect with, to fill in the blanks. What about you guys?
Phil?
Yeah. Well, so I've had one, and I can remember it like yesterday. And it was a lucid dream, and it involved my cousin, who, since um, I've tried to get to corroborate it, and
Mhm.
because we had a conversation a couple of weeks after I had the dream, where he described the guy in the dream in detail and the setting of the dream. So it starts, I was in the bathtub, right? I'm about 10 years old, maybe 11. And I'm in the bathtub looking at my legs, and I see a koi fish swimming in the tub with me.
Oh,
It's
nice.
just swimming around, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm dreaming. I'm looking at my hands. I stand up because I feel the urge to go outside, completely naked, by the way, not caring. I step out of the tub, I go downstairs, and I open the door, and I see my apartment complex, but it looks different. In the center, there's a gigantic fountain, and there's a man who sort of looks like the Hat Man standing under a tree,
Ooh.
and he approaches me, and I'm right away, I'm nervous, but he says, "So we need you. I'm here for you. We need you." And I think, okay, for what? What could you possibly need? And the whole time I'm seeing people like flying around, uh, doing crazy things, and they all have these strange abilities. And he says, "You're in a dream right now. You know that, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I can tell." He said, "Well, we don't have much time, but I need you to come with me. But it costs something. If you come with me, everyone where your body is will think you've died in your sleep. But I can't come back again. It's a one-time offer." And I
Mhm.
saw my cousin in the dream, who had these, I guess he was sort of recruiting him too. Uh, and I think, oh, my cousin's here. That might be nice. But ultimately, I choose to stay, to not
Yeah.
go with this guy. And I wake up, and like I said, a couple of weeks later, I bring it up to my cousin. I ask him, "Why didn't you go with the man?" And he just gave me a sharp look and said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "The guy with the hat on." And then he went on to describe his jacket, his long jacket,
Mm.
the fact that he told him he could stay there, and what, like, white as a ghost. Um, and he wouldn't talk to me about it after that. It's almost like he was afraid. He seemed
Yeah.
deathly afraid of that. I'm not real sure why. It didn't scare me. I just thought it was sort of like neat. Like, okay, let's explore this. But he seemed like he had a lot of fear surrounding that.
Wow. It reminds me, and I'm not saying this is what you experienced, but it makes me think like it's like a something's trying to take your soul away from your body so it can they can possess your body. But this is just
Sure, yeah,
what
like a
it sounded
walk-in.
like. Yeah, that's what it sounded like. Well, my shared dream. This I was married at the time, uh, and in the dream I'm on a bus, and this makes no sense to me. And because in my mind I see that I'm like on the border where Canada meets like Michigan or whatever,
Mhm.
uh, but it's the land, right? And so, and we're driving, and it's like a cliff kind of, and into the I can see in the cliff there's like an ocean or something, which doesn't make any sense. But anyway, we're driving. I'm on the bus at the window, and I'm looking out the window, looking around. I'm just admiring how beautiful this all looks, and I know I'm in Canada for some reason. And so then I see this. It looks like a red convertible pull up, and there's a woman driving, and she's wearing a big hat. That I remember. It was a big hat, and I was just like mesmerized by whoever this was. And she moved the hat and looked up. It was my wife, my current wife at the time, who
Wow.
was sleeping next to me, by the way. And I see her, and I'm shocked because I know who it is. I'm like talking, but it's like not saying anything. Like, what are you doing? What the hell is that? What's happening? I didn't understand it, right? And then the dream went on or whatever. I woke up the next morning and I was thinking about it. It was the first thing that I remembered, that whole sequence. And I'm sure there was more, but I couldn't remember anything else. and my wife, my current ex-wife, she was still asleep. Well, later I was getting coffee, whatever. I wasn't thinking about it. She got up and she came to tell me a dream that she had, and she says I was driving this red convertible in Canada, and I looked up and I moved my hat and I see you on the bus, and I freaked out, man. I flipped out with that because I was like, I didn't even know that was possible. That you can be in the same space and have a similar dream, or maybe I don't know how it works, man. But I was like that. I got to talk about that. It was so bizarre, and it turns out people have this. It actually happens a lot, which is kind of weird.
That is wild.
Yes, so
That's
weird.
a connection, right? It's got to be based on the connection that was there, and
the connection was we were going to get a divorce. Yes, that was the right choice, Diana. If you're out there, I'm sorry, but that had to happen.
She took off in a red convertible. She's fine.
Oh yeah, she's fine.
Is she in Canada?
No,
Okay.
she moved. I think to Houston. But we haven't spoken. We didn't have children, so it was like one of those nice clean breaks. It was wonderful. But guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank you, Philip. Thank you so much for joining me. JJ Rose 777. I love you to death, my friend.
Love you, buddy.
If there's anything you need,
Both of you.
anything you need from me to put on the show notes, please send it to me. I will definitely get it out there. Guys, I want to send a quick message to everyone before we go. If you're having a hard time, if you're going through something difficult, just remember it's going to be all right. Everything's going to be okay. And if you want to send me a message, feel free. I'm here and I will listen. Thank you, guys. That's it. Have a great night, day, whatever it is. I don't even know what it is.
That's a great message.
Thank you, sir. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah, I got fire in my chest. Yeah, you're now rocking with the best. Yeah, listen to that sound. Yeah, it's Dayvid and this is Deeper Down. Already know, Dayvid going deeper down in the rabbit hole. One mic, one topic, laser focus flow, pull one thread and watch the whole thing blow. Maps on the wall, red string stretched tight. Late night digging in the pale blue light. Facts get twisted, truth gets bent. We don't skim headlines, we investigate intent. Welcome to the round table, take your seat. Truth tastes different when you true wanna meet. From whispers in the dark to the stars in the sky. From hidden hand plays to the question of why. Conspiracies cover up shadows that creep. Ancient stories buried 6 levels deep. Ghosts and those strange codes, things we can't explain. Rabbit holes whistling through the back of your brain. Where the weird ones go, yeah, that's the road. If you think it for yourself, then you already know. So plug in your headphones, turn your radio up. We don't water it down, we fill your cup. If you're ready to question what they told you before, step past the surface, there's always more. Yeah, you feel that sound. We don't look around, we go deeper down. Yeah, I got fire in my chest. Yeah, you're now rocking with the best. Yeah, listen to that sound. Yeah, it's Dayvid and